hopeful do you feel now a ceasefire has been announced in Gaza?
I'm very sceptical because I think what will happen is once the hostages are given back to Israel, then Netanyahu and his gang will foment a problem, and they'll have an excuse to invade Gaza again. That's what I'm fearful.
I am in fear and trepidation that it should last. I am worried that at the last ceasefire, after the release of an agreed number of hostages, instead of going on to further negotiations about a permanent ceasefire, Israel restarted the bombing. And one of the reasons we are out is to keep the pressure up that this should not happen this time. But I'm worried.
The problem is that the vast majority of housing in Gaza has been destroyed. The hospitals have gone. I don't see how people are going to survive this winter without getting ill and dying in vast numbers. So in my mind, the genocide has yet to finish. It is merely slowed down. My father's experiences in the war was once the war was over, people still continued to die because they'd been starved for years, and there were diseases, and there were still food shortages, and I think that's what's going to continue happening.
I don't feel hopeful at all. I think that tragically it is a con. It was partly aimed at Nobel Peace Prize for Trump, and also to try to avoid a major revolution everywhere. It's no point because they're still occupied. Israel is still occupying Palestine. They should get out of the West Bank. They should get out of Gaza.
Oh, has there been a ceasefire? I'm aware that people have agreed to a ceasefire, but my information is that the bombing hasn't stopped. I don't think it will stop, and I think there's an absolute danger now that whatever momentum Trump had to generate a ceasefire because of personal gain, his Nobel Peace Prize, now that has gone, I think Trump will lose interest, and I think that they will ignore Israel's continued bombing.
Israel has broken every ceasefire it's entered into over the past 2 years and then some, so I don't have high hopes. I'm just very glad that Gaza will get a bit of a chance to breathe, will get some aid in there, but to really have peace in the Middle East, we need right of return of refugees, right? We need one state, no apartheid. We need reparations to the victims of the Nakba, the ethnic cleansing, and now Gaza. And finally, we're
cautiously optimistic, but obviously it's not the end yet. We need justice for all the people that are being killed. 15 of our colleagues in MSF have been killed. We need justice. We need to rebuild the country. We need to rebuild healthcare.
Well, ceasefire isn't liberation, ceasefire isn't free Palestine. I would love to be as celebratory as the Palestinian people are themselves in Gaza, and I believe that they must be encouraged and allowed to celebrate, of course, but I don't think it's a time for us to celebrate. I think that we have to ramp up our pressure and do more and more and more to ensure, A, that a ceasefire is lasting, but also that it meets the terms of a true free Palestine and an end to the occupation, because I just got back from the West Bank, and the West Bank isn't Gaza. There's no Hamas in the West Bank. What I saw in the West Bank is occupation and apartheid.
Well, a ceasefire is important. It brings a sense of hope. But even in the wake of a ceasefire, we saw that Israel was not actually cease-firing. And that is problematic because Israel has been engaged not in a war, but in a genocide. And the people of Gaza have suffered so much. And until Palestine is free, none of us are free. That is why we march today, because in a way we are all Palestinians, and that is actually right. But the people have suffered not only a terrible genocide in that sense, but Israel used starvation as a weapon against the Palestinian people. 18,000, 20,000 children have perished in Israel's genocide. So we cannot rest, and that's why we continue to march.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, like it or not.
What do you say to people who say that maybe that's an anti-Semitic chant?
Oh, for God's sake, I am going to join my blog, the Jewish Voice for Peace. In this blog, 4 people had all the family wiped out during the Holocaust.
If he wants to ban the chant river to the sea, then he's ignorant. Because the Israelis, they use it. I mean, in 2013, Tzipi Hotovely wrote a big essay, How to Achieve the Greater Israel. And she does use the expression from the river to the sea. And definitely in 2023, she declared, that's Tzipi Hotovely, who was she was Israel's ambassador to the UK. She declared in 2023 that from the river to the sea, the whole land should belong to Israel. To which I say, from the river to the sea, the whole land should belong to Palestine, where Jews should be also allowed to live.